Welcome to episode 86 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
So before we begin our podcast, we have a couple of things to talk about. We've got Patreon. Patreon.com is a great place to go and sponsor your favorite artists like ourselves. You can be part of the Chew crew for as little as $1 a month, and that would help sponsor us and help us go to other cons and do the interviews that we like to do and a bunch of other fun stuff. And so it starts $1 a month, and that will give you like a shout out, and then it goes all the way up to different tiers, and there's different types of rewards, like podcasts that you can be on or that you can direct. You can get t-shirts, hats. There's a numerous amount of things. So that's patreon.com/chew on this podcast.
And of course, the second thing we always have to talk about is Wawa. Let's see, we've done the coffee thing, we've done the hoagies or sub sandwiches or whatever you want to call them out here. Grinders if you're in Massachusetts.
I'll tell you what, like when I was out there visiting you the last time I was out there, we played a lot of video games. And the best thing about that is you always got to have some munchies nearby. So I remember taking a trip to Wawa and just loading up on sandwiches and drinks and chips and all sorts of different goodies because they have everything there. You don't have to go to Walmart or go to any of those huge places. Wawa has everything you need, and it's really easy to get in and out. So that was kind of nice, being able to just go back to your place and like watch a video game or play video games and eat our munchies.
So once again, that is hashtag West Coast Wawa because we're not stopping until Wawa gets out here. And we've been doing this for what, 3 or 4 months now?
Yes.
It's been a long 3 or 4 months every time we have to mention this.
And they keep expanding, but in the opposite direction. So they they just opened one in DC.
They keep staying on the East Coast. They keep staying on the East Coast.
Yeah, they need to come over here.
Yeah. So this is a special podcast for us because we actually have not a correspondent, not yet. We'll see how it goes. We're hoping that he wants to be a off the books correspondent because we don't actually have books to pay him. So a friend of mine, John Velasco, known him for a long time. He used to work for a cell phone company that reviewed all cell phones, and now he's with, I believe it's called VR Source. I hope that's right, but he'll tell you the right name later on in the episode when he actually is on. And he is going to be reporting all the cool things that he saw this week at E3. So we actually have something that we can't afford to go to, but somebody actually does this for a living.
Yeah,
so,
this is the first time. This is the first time we get to really dive into games and other things to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
And tech, so I'm excited.
He definitely knows way more about this stuff than we do. Obviously, we have consumer knowledge, but he's actually behind the scenes for all this cool stuff. So hopefully this is an ongoing thing for us. I hope you enjoy the podcast. This will be our first kind of reporting from like breaking news almost.
Yes.
I'm gonna put a sound effect where it shows that where you hear that like breaking news bulletin from like, yeah. I'm gonna put it right before it.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, welcome John to the table.
All right, so welcome again to this special podcast. We got a friend of mine on here, John Velasco. I've known him for years, all the way from Best Buy. He was the Best Buy mobile manager, and actually he got on TV before I did. He got on as he got more exposure than I did because I've only been on local TV at Good Day Sacramento. John has actually been on national television during the holidays. Yeah, remember the Best Buy commercial? Was that national?
That was not national.
Oh, well, then I'd still beat you then. Fuck, sweet.
Yeah. There you go.
I was just gonna ask, like, how laid did you get on that for that commercial? But I guess, probably not. Anyway.
So John Velasco was not on national television, so I'm still one up in him. But he gets to go to all this cool shit, which is why we're here. So before we get started on all the E3 stuff, John, I want to just let everybody know where you're from. You know, I know you were in the mobile company first, so drop those names if you want to, and then drop the name of your company that you're working for now.
Well, I started out with this company called Phone Arena, so it catered to pretty much smartphone reviews. I was there for roughly a little bit over 7 years. Right after Best Buy, I did that. Basically, a writer, journalist, YouTuber, I guess. And then last year, I made the switch after, I believe, 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. Made switch to Android Authority, which I'm not sure if you guys know, but they have a pretty big following when it comes to Android in general. So I've been doing that. I'm the editor at large there, and I also cover VR for a sister website called VR Source. So that primarily covers virtual reality, mixed reality. So anything along that line, I cover there. So I've been doing that for the past year now.
So that's great that you get to do stuff that you love. We're doing this. Well, you get paid for it. We don't. This is completely free, which is why we didn't.
That's
fly
crazy.
I think it's costing us money.
Right. Which is why we didn't fly out to Sacramento after E3.
Gotcha.
So right off the bat, what was the coolest thing you saw at E3 this year?
So the coolest thing, I wouldn't say the coolest, but I guess it's the coolest. The lines, it's unbelievable. Like,
that's not the coolest thing. I could see that shit at the supermarket.
But
was it in virtual reality? Was it in virtual reality though?
Virtual reality lines.
The most boringest game ever.
That would have been awesome. I put on a VR headset and I see these lines and I take it off and I don't see them. But unfortunately, the lines were there in reality. But yeah, I guess VR is it's interesting. It's still growing. This year for me, I think the coolest thing was multiplayer VR, because for a while there we didn't know where VR is going to go. This year they made a big push for multiplayer VR, and I got to play a bunch of games that utilize the multiplayer aspect, and it's a totally different ball game, because now you're actually moving. You're actually physically working in these games, competing against other people. But yeah, I guess that's one of the big things for me that stood out, because I do cover just primarily VR. I didn't get a chance to play any of the console games or standard console games, so that area I can't speak too much about.
Well, that just ended the entire podcast, because that was where most of my questions
we're done. No, I'm interested in that VR, the multiplayer VR, because I really want to play like a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game, and I want to punch Vic in the face. Yeah, I just want to punch him. So
you'd still lose.
I don't know, man.
Punch him in the balls, like
that's right.
Low blow. There you go. Right.
Well, I'm a big. We're both huge gamers, but I'm still like old school. I love like the old school Nintendo, and so every time a new Nintendo system comes out, I'm really like, of course, I'm jonesing for a Super Mario Brothers game or a Zelda game or even a Metroid game. And I know that all three of those are coming out with new ones. So, did you get to see any kind of like Nintendo, any one of those games?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
First of all, yeah, I wish I had. It's tough with trade shows. The big shows like this. Yes, it's fun, but getting the chance to go around and actually playing the games, it's tough, because we have, not only do we have to cover the stuff that we're supposed to cover, but then afterwards, after you shoot the video, you got to write about it, and then you got to go and edit the footage, and it just takes time. By the end of the day, you're just like, no. And plus, the lines themselves, like, we were at the NVIDIA booth, we were talking to some of the people there, they had a line, they said it took 4 hours for them to play one game.
That's crazy.
It's 4 hours. And to me, it's not worth it, because it's like, first of all, the game's going to eventually come out. Yes, you do get to play it ahead of time. You get a sneak peek. But it'll be probably coming out in, less than a year?
It's probably like for the the VR porn games. I bet that's what's taking so long.
That's yeah. So
It's the end game.
Report on those, John. The
Yeah.
VR porn games.
VR porn. I don't know. I'm still the VR porn stuff. So far, it's still what I call static. You're just like looking around, right? You're just sitting, you're looking around, looking behind you, looking in front of you, but it's not like getting up, using your hands. That'll probably come. That'll probably come soon.
I saw something on like BuzzFeed or something where the Japanese, of course, leave it to the Japanese
Oh yeah.
to do the virtual reality porn, but they actually invented
Robots.
like this. Yeah, well, not just the robots, but they invented this thing, this like machine that
This
like
thing.
You can
actually goes
insert-
on your cock. Yeah, like that you actually like insert it, and then like if she's riding you, the machine goes up and down on you, like she would in the virtual reality.
So this
I'm
is
just-
reality.
Yeah,
Where
It just seems like
androids
a lot
do it.
of work.
yeah. It's a lot of gear to put on, and then like
is.
it better be waterproof too.
Yeah, well, yeah. Spray some disinfectant after you choose. There you
Exactly. Like, what's the rust on that? Like, is that rust proof?
go. Yeah, you can't return the two. It's a no return policy.
It's like think about your console joysticks, right? I mean, you're not using that for porn, but like after like a lot of games, the
my
joysticks
gosh.
get a little sticky, right?
Oh, don't,
So
yeah.
imagine like this virtual reality shit. Like that's after 6 months of playing like normal video games and the joystick sticks on the control pad.
Yeah.
But like I'm guessing after the first use, your fucking virtual reality shit's gonna like be sticky.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh man, speaking of that, like the worst thing about VR when you play it at these trade shows is, let's say, so the cleaning process is probably horrible. Not everyone does the same thing. It's always different. Some of them wipe down the headsets, but then others they don't. And then when you put on the headset, the foamy part around the headset, you feel that nasty, sweaty like feel on your
fuck.
face. And I'm like, oh, this guy was like sweating profusely, and now it's like a spongy mess that's on your face, and that annoys the crap out of me. I'm not sure why they don't remove it or have like some sort of like adhesive or I don't know, a condom or something. But
So that it's the worst at the porn booths, right?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. It gets hot and steamy in there.
Clean up on all four.
You know what's funny too? Our best performing video to date with VR Source is a porn video, a virtual porn, which is, and that was like last year. We covered that last year, and
I
it's
think
still
I remember that
our
video. I
best
think that was the only one I played.
Yeah, probably.
That was me.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, the porn industry is always changing, kind of changing everything. Blu-rays and Betamax and VHS. I mean, they always seem like they're at the forefront of the
Yeah.
technology thing.
That's who Sony and like all these guys who are like that's who Sony and Microsoft should be talking to about like the next time like Blu-ray versus HD DVD comes out. They should just talk to the porn industry and say which one do you guys prefer, and then
Right.
that's what they fucking do. 'Cause
Right,
it seems
exactly.
like every time,
They're gonna drive it.
yeah, it's crazy.
But I don't know. To me, still the whole VR porn. It's like it's weird in a way. It's like, okay, I'm just looking. I'm still looking. When you stand up, it's like, oh, I'm not standing up. I can't go around. I can't be on top. Or
Right,
it's
right.
still static to me. So
Yeah.
there's still a long ways to go. But
So what you're
it's-
saying is it's not like the real thing.
yeah, it's not the real thing.
No.
We could get there very quickly, but it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna
what-
cost like $20,000 to get one of those fucking machines.
What games, if any, did you see there that you were like really blown away by? Were you able to play anything or see
Yeah,
people
yeah.
play?
So-
Or okay,
Like with us, we have we schedule meetings ahead of time, so it's a set schedule. We meet with the companies, we do demos. So one game that I really enjoyed is it's going to be with the Oculus Rift. So it's called, I guess, what's the name of it? Echo Arena, which is this. It's a multiplayer VR game. It's actually a spin-off. It's going to launch with the single-player campaign. It's called Lone Echo. So basically, the premise here is that you're floating in outer space. It's like in zero G. It's set in zero G, but this game's a multiplayer game. It's kind of like Ultimate Frisbee, but in 0G. And
cool.
it's very interesting because you're doing a lot of grabbing. You're holding, because if you're floating, of course you got to grab onto something. So you're grabbing on ledges, on bars, and you use the controllers. The controllers, I'm not sure if you guys ever used them, but they are probably the best controllers for VR because you have like articulation with your fingers, your individual fingers. So if you're gonna grab something, you like squeeze like as if you're gonna grab something. If you want to point at something, you extend your index finger, and it does that in VR.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really fun because it's competitive, and the 0G thing is interesting because I guess you could also move, you could propel forward. You have these these rockets behind you on your backpack, and in a way it kind of does a good job of mimicking what it's like to be in 0G. But you're just throwing this frisbee from one guy to another. You could punch them, you could stun them, and you could also like grab their like hold on to them, or I guess
cool.
piggyback them. But it's really intense. You're like moving around everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. It's a
Does
lot
it give
of
you
fun.
like motion sickness at all?
The games have gotten better. Definitely, I think nowadays very few games make me sick with VR. The early titles, like when PSVR launched, like God, the thing made me sick after 10 minutes. But I guess the system, it was the system basically, because it was just the hardware. So once the PS4 came out, it kind of eliminated that. But it's the only time I really get sick is when you have that illusion of not moving your body's not moving, but the game is moving. Like for example, like if you ever played a first-person shooter but for VR, you notice like if you want to move forward, you're not really moving forward. You like teleport there, because the act of like if you press a joystick up or an analog stick up and you expect to move forward, but your body's telling you, oh, I'm not moving forward, but I'm seeing I'm moving forward.
That can make you sick.
Yeah, that it makes it messes with your mind. So they do a lot of things to try to minimize that, and the teleportation thing kind of helps. But every now and then I come across a game like that, but for the most part they've been pretty good. Frame rates are nice, so it's very rare now.
I noticed that I was reading somewhere that they're doing a Walking Dead VR, and Fallout 4, I think, is another one.
Yeah, I think the PSVR is doing Fallout 1.
Yeah, and it just seems like, I mean, so my brother actually has a VR business here in town, and he has the Vive, he has the Oculus, and the
Nice.
PS4. Yeah, he's got all three, and he says they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I got to play the Star Wars one. You're on Tatooine, and you got to defend the Millennium Falcon and R2D2. It's pretty cool. Actually, you got to like pull a lightsaber out and block laser shots and all that stuff. It's really, really, really cool.
Now, how responsive was that though? Like, sometimes you have to let the animation run its course before you could do another attack.
It seemed to be pretty smooth. I was
nice.
pretty impressed. You had to wait to pull the lightsaber. Like there's certain times where, you're just kind of like pushing buttons and doing this and that, and then when the stormtroopers come, that's when you can pull the lightsaber out. Like you can't pull it out anytime you want. It's just like when that sequence starts, you could do it. And so they had kind of like that, but it was really smooth. I mean, they were shooting at you, and you can block the laser bolt and actually direct it back at him to kill him, if you want to, if you do it just right. So it was pretty awesome. Really, really impressed. So VR seems like that's kind of where a lot of those are the big ticket items that are kind of starting to develop more and more each year.
Yeah. It's getting a following. Last year was the big rollout. This year they're just refining the titles. Like I said, they pushed out to multiplayer VR, which is nice. But the top tier titles, It's still coming along. Like we haven't heard anything about what Microsoft is going to do with the Xbox One X console.
Oh
They kind of
yeah.
hinted a little bit about VR stuff, but if you guys don't know, like Microsoft has been doing the mixed reality stuff with like the HoloLens, and now all these other mixed reality headsets. So I have a feeling that they're gonna just wait off on that until they have that ironed down. But yeah, VR is still it's the biggest problem with VR. Do you guys own one?
No.
I don't, but like I said, my brother runs a business, and so like I've been watching it. I don't want to invest in it until I
There you go.
know. Yeah, I always
There you
see
go.
something come out, and I go, oh, that looks pretty cool, but it's not where I want it yet. Like I just keep waiting for something to come out, and they keep getting cheaper and cheaper every year. And then the games that are coming out are not very expensive at all. They're like $6, for
Yeah.
this, or or they're episodic. So. Yeah, but I will. I mean, I'm very impressed with the vibe so far. I think out of all the three that he's got, and if anything, I'm looking at, well, okay, I want to buy this, but I need to have a good piece of hardware before I buy that. So because I want to be able to run it smooth.
Exactly. That's the biggest hurdle, I guess, right now for real VR, because you guys have probably tried out like the Samsung VR, mobile VR, or what I like to call just mobile VR in general.
Yeah, yeah,
It's different, right? It's like it's almost a novelty, I guess, or gimmicky in a way.
yes,
But with real VR, the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, the PlayStation VR, they deliver very convincing VR experiences. But like you said, the biggest thing here is just cost. Like, who's going to spend over $1,000 just to have this? It's for the average consumer. That's just way too much of an investment. Even the PSVR, it's the cheapest one to own, but at the same time, that's still you're looking at what $300 for the console, and then
Almost
another
the same
four
as the
hundred.
console.
Exactly.
yeah.
So
400 for the I think for the actual VR.
So John, what is the VR? What's the difference between like the fad of 3D TVs versus this VR thing? Like any inside information on that about what the market is actually saying? Is this thing going to stick around? Because I have a 3D TV and I've probably used it five
don't you?
times.
Yeah. I'm same boat. But with VR, it's well. First of all, it's backed by, let's see, you have, well, I wouldn't say HTC, but Steam. Steam's on board with Vive and VR. You have Oculus, which is backed by Facebook. So they're gonna have a lot of money. They're gonna invest a lot of stuff into this. And now Sony has, of course, PSVR, and Microsoft. Next level is gonna be bringing it to mixed realities. It's still a niche market, but it's definitely it's going to prove to be it's going to have, how can I say this? It's going to be more widespread than 3D TVs. 3D TVs were just, I don't know, just gimmicky, but this, like, if you use the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, like, I can't tell you how many times I've had people come over and they checked out and they're just blown away by the experience. This is not gimmicky. And next thing you know, with the mixed reality stuff, one of these days, like, we won't need TVs, we won't need computers, we won't need, all our connected devices, because everything is going to be virtualized. And maybe it's not going to happen in 10 years, maybe 50 years, but you'll come home, your living room, it's just going to be your furniture, just a very minimalistic look, and then you just put on maybe a pair of glasses or some sort of headset, and the next thing you know it, everything's just virtualized, and it's gonna change a lot of things, even the way we work, our jobs. A lot of these jobs can be done remotely. I give the God bless you. I give the I give the example of, let's say you're a security guard for a store, right? Usually you go into the store and you have your office there that has all the cameras and you're watching, monitoring. But with mixed reality or even virtual reality, you could be at home. Sorry about that. Everything is done, online, and you'll see all the feeds, in VR. It's definitely gonna revolutionize stuff. We're still at the beginning. It's
Now,
still expensive.
when you say virtual reality and mixed reality, I don't think a lot of people who are listening would know the difference. So why don't you explain what that is?
Okay, so virtual reality is like you're totally put into a different world. Like, for example, The Matrix. That's what I would consider virtual reality. Now, what mixed reality is, it's a combination of both. And it's kind of close to what Google Glass is like. So you put on a see-through, transparent display over your face, your eyes, and it actually transposes stuff over reality. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say I had this headset. It's a mixed reality headset, and I met Vic for the first time in so many years. But we're Facebook friends. We're connected. So what this mixed reality thing will do, it's like a pair of sunglasses. But then you'll start seeing like. It'll give you notifications of the last time you talked to him, and it'll tell you his mom's name is I don't know your mom's name, but let's say it's Nina, and it'll tell you it's her birthday's coming up. You might want to say wish her a happy birthday.
That's a lot of cheating, of like lying to people that you actually give a shit about.
It's gonna come down to that. It's gonna tell
like,
you like
honestly, John, like if you come on every single year and do E3 and CES, I'm still not going to know like when your birthday is, and I'm telling you right now, if I do in the future, it's because I have VR glasses on.
Exactly. Nothing is safe. But then
like
again,
lying.
you can lie.
It's basically lying.
Yeah.
They're basically lying, like thinking like letting people think they actually give a shit about you.
Yeah.
Well, I could just imagine in the future people just coming home and putting on their glasses because, like, right now, I mean, we're living in such a social media world with Instagram and Snapchat,
Wasn't that Wally? That's why everybody was fat.
Facebook.
Yeah, we got lazy. We all that's good. That's like virtual reality right there. You just like get lost in that world, and your body just.
But isn't that why everybody's fat? Because they had the VR glasses. They were watching TV like right in front of their faces, right?
That's true. Yes.
And all
but then you could do VR exercising. You could be on a on a treadmill or on a bike, which they have now.
Well, yeah, that would make sense, I guess, right?
Well, people are going to use it for advertising. I mean, mostly.
It could. It would be like a mix between virtual reality and that thing in the Minority Report.
Yeah.
And then scan your eyes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of mixed reality. I'd say.
That's scary.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
So there's no rumblings of Skynet coming out of E3, right?
No, not yet. But damn, I'm telling you, computers are definitely going to take over the world. There's no doubt about it.
Did you read that thing that this week that the first artificial intelligence created something from nothing?
Oh, geez, it started.
I think they created an image of a human that never existed. Like it actually thought about a person that never existed. Like it had imagination.
It drew it?
Or created it. Like drew it, I guess, if you want to call it that. But it's not like drawing a pencil. They would like basically just create the image from nothing in Photoshop, but they did it.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's crazy because that means it's the beginning of like imagination and creativity.
Freedom.
Yeah, from humans, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're done.
They're gonna kill us all when we're watching the virtual reality porn. That's when they're gonna get us.
Yeah. Or when you're taking a dump.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I really wanted to talk video games because like all I've been doing for the last like 4 days is watching game trailers, just one after another after another.
It looks so good.
Oh man, it feels like this year they just really pulled out all the stops. I mean, there's so many games out.
Well, we can still talk about games. Like John, what's the best VR game you've played so far?
The best VR game.
Does it even need to be from E3?
Super Hot VR. I'm not sure. It was a PC game first.
Sounds like a porn.
Yeah, super fuzz. No, yeah. It's
So what's that game about?
It kind of reminds me of The Matrix. Basically, The Matrix. You have bullet time effects. So it's a first-person game. You have your virtual hands. You could punch people, but the unique thing about the game is that when you move freely, time moves normal. But if you slow down your movements, if you move very slowly or keep still, like pretty much almost slows down to the point where you could dodge bullets. You
So
could
you basically need a big living room to play this game.
no, no. Well, no, it's after each board. It's like I'd say your boundary is like roughly 4 feet, 4 feet from the center point. So you could
Nobody
move within that
living in the
space.
high rises of New York City can play this game.
Sure, why not? You can absolutely do it.
There's people living like 10 by 10 closets in New York City or San Francisco. They're not going to
Well,
believe reality.
No, it would be pretty static.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit there.
Well, luckily you could rearrange the distance. So if you want to have it very small, you could still do it. There's just a little bit of movement, but for the most part, these games so far don't have you like running all the way from one side of the room to the other. It's just you're still tethered. So
That would be pretty funny.
yeah,
And they
So,
don't give you enough cable to run, so it like jerks your head.
it's like you reach the limit. You got to come back.
Yeah.
One of the things that I saw that I was really stoked about was Shadow of the Colossus, the remaster for
remake,
PS4,
yeah.
which I had it for the PS2. Then I bought it for the PS3 when they remastered that, and now they're gonna come out with it again.
Money maker.
But it looks amazing. Holy
does,
shit,
yeah.
it looks amazing.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
so
the graphics
the
that blew me away so far this E3 was God of War 4.
oh yes.
I saw that last year. They teased that last year. I remember because I was actually at the PlayStation event last year, the press conference this year. Fortunately, did not get an invite, but that's okay. But yeah, it's. I remember last year when we saw Kratos. At first, I didn't know what it was, but then when he came out of the shadows and we saw his face, everyone was just like, "God, these people are like, damn, they love this game."
Yeah,
But, yeah.
Well, the last one wasn't that great, but I mean, the God of War series has always had great graphics, and because like the cutscenes, you would always be able to tell, obviously, like when
Yeah.
the action was starting, when the cutscenes were, but for this one, you couldn't tell the difference.
No.
It was fucking seamless, and that was crazy because the cutscene graphics looked just as good as the action
Gameplay,
things.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Now,
The graphics blew me away for that one.
They did announce. I think I read it that they did announce a date that's gonna when it's gonna be coming out, but it's not until 2018. Am I correct?
That I'm not sure. I just remember I don't stay till the end. As soon as the trailer's over, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah, I'm done. But yeah, the
Yeah, it's
graphics were there.
I guess the annoyance that people had this year with Sony was that they announced all these great titles, but they had no release dates and not until next year, so 2018.
No demos either, I imagine.
Spider-Man's Sony, isn't it? And that's coming out this year.
That would look good too. That
So
would
that's
Spider-Man
coming
looked
out this year,
amazing.
though. I think, right?
I think so.
Like after the movie, though.
I would
Yeah.
I would hope
End of the
in
year.
time for the movie at least.
Well, no. I think it's going to be later by around Christmas time. This game's going to be released. The movie comes out next month.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up pretty quick. The one thing I was really disappointed in Sony is they didn't show anything of The Last of Us, which
Oh god, that game's so great.
yeah, I love that game so much, and but yeah, they didn't have anything for that, so I don't know.
No, they did Uncharted.
The Lost Legacy.
Yeah, they had Uncharted. Was the big
The
one
one with the
as
girl,
well.
right?
Yeah.
Spin-off?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure
I'm
how good
interested-
that's going to be.
I don't know, but the last one was awesome.
Yeah, the last one was
Uncharted
amazing.
was so good.
Did you play that one, John?
Uncharted?
Yeah, the last one.
Not yet, no. The fourth one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so good.
super good. A lot of
I
character.
got to
development.
play. Yeah, definitely got to play. Like Uncharted is just it's just great. It's
What game are you playing now?
okay, so I don't play too many. I don't know how you guys have the time to play games, but even when I'm
don't-
like
We
working,
don't. I don't.
like I do play video games for a living. You know, I that's my job, but I do it just to review it. It's like I have to play this game just to review it. As far as console games, I haven't played a console game in probably a year at this point. It's been nothing but VR. I just don't have the time to play enough console games.
You said that game that you said was the best virtual reality game you played. What was the name of it again?
Super Hot VR.
Super Hot, and who's it for?
The Oculus Rift. I think it's available for all three platforms. So PSVR, Oculus, and HTC.
Which is your favorite VR set?
The Oculus. The Oculus. Okay, so when they first came out, it was the Vive. The Vive was just like free roaming, real VR. You could move in space, but the Oculus. I choose the Oculus Rift now because the touch controllers. That was the missing thing that they needed when they launched. Because when they launched, it was kind of gimmicky. It was still like you use the Xbox One controller, but you weren't really moving your hands. You're using a controller to move your character. So it's like I could just move my head and like stoop down, but as far as like movement and actions with your hands, you couldn't really do it. But now these controllers, they are your hands in VR, and that's the biggest differentiator. Because unlike the HTC Vive controllers, you could actually independently move certain digits, like your index finger, your middle finger, and just the motions is just more realistic and natural. My least favorite has to be the PSVR, unfortunately.
Why is that?
Okay, so tracking. The biggest thing for me is the tracking of the VR headsets, and it uses only one camera, the PlayStation camera, and and the Move controllers too, because everything's tracked by the camera, and it sees all the LEDs. So the LEDs that are on the headset, the LEDs on the Move controllers, on the DualShock 4 controller. But let's say, for example, you turn around facing away the camera, and the camera doesn't see the lights. It goes nuts for a second. So it kind of pulls you back from the immersion. And there's just a lot of tracking issues still with the PlayStation VR. Granted, they do have like some solid titles like Resident Evil, but as far as like real immersive VR, the controllers to me are the differentiator. And when you're able to use your hands instead of just like pressing a button, that sells virtual reality, and that's why I choose the Rift.
How's the Batman game is exclusive to the PlayStation?
No, not anymore. It's now available.
So it's really good on the Oculus then.
Say it again.
It's really good on the Oculus, the Batman game.
Yes, it's okay. So it's a good. I wouldn't even consider it as a game. I would consider it as a showcase or a tease, because you paid $20, I think, for the game when it first came out, and you beat it. I beat it in an hour, and it wasn't really like the Arkham series. It's just like it was. I was disappointed. The graphics were great, but as far as the VR stuff, like I wanted more. I wanted more out of it. But what was I gonna say?
I kind of heard that about that. I heard that it wasn't like a very complete, like, like you said, it was just kind of an appetizer, I guess.
Yeah, you really didn't even fight any opponents with your hands. Like, it's all about the action. The button mashing. I thought like you were gonna start punching the bad guys, but no, you were just like, click, click. Let me just try and use my batarang to go over here. It was more of a storytelling than anything else. Which
like Telltale games.
Yeah, just like that. So. For a game that's coming off the Arkham series, like, it was a little bit of disappointment. But then again, I guess that's how they were going to tease or showcase virtual reality with the PSVR.
Right. So probably, hopefully, a better game's coming out soon.
Yeah, a full feature game, like, right, for the best game for the PlayStation VR still is Resident Evil 7. That's the showcase game. To me, it was a long game. It wasn't like I beat it in 2 hours, which is the problem with many of these VR games. They're very short. Like, I have yet to play a VR game more than, I'd say, 8 hours total.
Oh, wow.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, and you pay $60, which is like, wow.
Yeah, they've got to figure out that.
How long is the Resident Evil game? Is it the full game?
Yeah, it's a full game. And the nice thing about it is when you buy it, you could play it normal and then if you happen to get the PSVR later, it's enabled for virtual reality. But that game, I think total, roughly around 7 hours.
That's
7 hours.
pretty short too.
Yeah.
It still doesn't seem a lot.
If I played a second time around, I'd probably beat it in 4 hours.
That's
So
really, that's short.
they kind of need to figure out a better price point for these. Like, over time things will go down in price, and
Exactly.
make things episodic. They need to make bigger hard drives to house all this stuff.
I get pissed off if I'm with GameFly, and I get pissed off if I rent a game that's like 10 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's annoying because you finally start immersing yourself in the game, and then all of a sudden it's over.
You're done. Yeah.
Yeah, Order 1866 or whatever that game was like a year ago. Did you ever play that one? No, probably
No,
not.
not me.
But the game was gorgeous. The game was so beautiful. The story was really cool, but the game only took like 12 hours to
Yeah,
beat,
so-
and the way that it ended,
Okay, yeah, I was
it
gonna
was
say,
like-
how was the ending?
the ending wasn't an ending. It set it up for like a big, like you finally figure out the mystery and everything, and it just ends like, okay, wait for the
At
next
least, yeah.
game. And I'm like, what the fuck? So if I paid $60 for, it was a gorgeous, really great game. Like I would actually suggest renting it, but I would never pay $60 for that game.
No, definitely not.
So
I
to pay
don't-
$60 for a 7-hour game, and that's the biggest one too. That would piss me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why games like Skyrim and Mass Effect, those kind of things that take 30, 40, 50
40, yeah.
hours. Yeah.
And Mass Effect for me took forever because I have kids or whatever. But it took me like a month
The
and a
hell
half
did you have
to
the
beat
time to do that?
it. When they're sleeping. When
That's the only time I have.
Bless you, man.
Yeah. It's the only time we have to podcast is at night. We
That's
can't
why
do
we
it during
podcast
the
so
day.
late.
Oh man, I should be playing more video games then.
Yeah, you
I don't know
should.
what my experience is.
You're not working that fucking much.
That is true. No,
You could literally, when you get off the phone with us, you could just pull a game out and start playing.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah, that's true. I can.
Or go down to the strip club, like whichever.
Yeah, that's always an option too. The virtual strip.
Right.
You're like, I didn't go anywhere.
So, any other cool things that happened at E3 that you saw or heard?
Let's see. This year, I just can't believe well, it was bound to happen. Just the opening it up to the public, and I gotta say, those tickets are expensive. And if you're waiting for 4 hours for one game, and let's say you play 2 games in one day, I don't know what the hell you were thinking about even coming here and wasting the money, because it's like $160, I think, for a 1-day pass.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah, $160 for a 1-day pass, or you could get 3 days for $250, which is a better deal. But
But they
like
sold
that
out
guy,
too.
yeah, they sold out. Over 68,000 people came to E3 this year, and to me, E3 did lose its identity because of that. But you know what? It's for the fans. I get it in a way. Being in the industry, being press, you're used to just going there and being able to play. But this year, it was just totally different. You had to wait online, or when they open it up, you could just run there, and hopefully you could get access really quick. But it was just crazy this year. I felt like it was like PAX, and I usually go to PAX every year, PAX East, sometimes PAX Prime, but the culture there is starting to be the same here with E3.
Well, they're trying to emulate the Comic-Con model.
Yeah.
Because E3, as far as I remember, used to be just open up to if you were in the industry or you worked at a GameStop or something like that, you get to go, and that was it. They didn't have public would be able to go, and now it's like, yeah, they just open it. They found a way to monetize it.
Yeah,
And that's unfortunate. Because you can go, like, I remember going to Comic-Con, and Comic-Con is so big that, like, you have movie panels, and then you've got movie screenings, you've got Artist Alley, you've got all this stuff, and then on top of all of that, they added the video game stuff to it a few years ago. And so you could stand in line for hours just to play, like, 5 minutes of the new Street Fighter arcade game or something like that. It's crazy. So like now they've I've heard that they've opened it up more. Like they'll have a hotel across the street that's all Nintendo or something, and then they've just expanded. So you just have to choose where you want to go and what you want to do. But I can't imagine paying all that money just to go in there and not be able to do it. It's like paying all that money to go to Disneyland. You rode 2 rides, all day long.
Yeah. There's no fast pass option either.
No shit.
So, yeah. No, it's weird because us guys, as a kid, teenager, I'd read EGM, I'd read GamePro, and you read about all these great stuff that happens in E3. And as a kid, I'm like, damn, it'd be so awesome to go to E3 one of these days, just to go. And last year was my first year ever, and that was like 34 years in the making. So when I went, I was like, damn, I remember reading about this like as a kid, and now I'm here, and I'm like, and you're just like in awe about the experience, and it's like, wow, this is so awesome. This is what it's like to be at E3. And then the feeling changed this year. This year it's like, what the hell, man? This is like, when I see a 10-year-old kid on the floor, I'm like, this kid didn't even wait 2 decades. He's 10 years old. Now he could say, oh, I've been to E3. I've been to E3. It's okay. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, his dad's probably a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. Bought him the $250 ticket.
Yep. So it's
E3's basically babysitting that kid while his dad's across the street, in the bar.
That kid probably complained the whole fucking time.
Fuck that kid.
Made his dad miserable. So good for him for buying him E3 tickets. You got what you deserve.
It makes me so angry. It makes me so angry when I see that.
So just picture, to make yourself feel better, just picture that kid crying in line because he's got to wait 4 hours to play the new Mario Brothers, and his dad looks fucking miserable. He's having to stand there and listen to it.
And then as soon as he puts the virtual reality thing on, he gets to the front of the line. You walk up and smack it off his head, and then run away.
Or he's right about to play.
You unplug it.
Yeah, you unplug it, or the electricity goes out, or it's time to close.
Sorry, sir, but we are filled for the day.
So hopefully that image makes you feel better.
So what do you? So John, are you predicting? What is the big prediction for next year? What do you think that is going to be the big to do, or is it? Well, yeah. I mean, that's the question. What's the big to do next year? Do you think, or do you think they're just going to expand upon what they're trying to do, or what they've been doing?
They're good. They see the money rolling in. They're selling T-shirts. They're selling hats. Like, they are gonna milk this thing to no other. So they'll probably have like different levels too. Maybe they might add a fast pass option. You paid another $200, you'll go right straight to the line, and yada yada yada. But E3 is competing now with what? PAX. PAX has become such a force in the video game industry. It's like they had that model, they established it, and now I guess E3 has seen it, and they're like, what were we waiting for? We might as well make money off this, right?
Now,
I've been here longer.
I remember E3 also changing venues every year. So are they now staying in one spot?
That's a good question. I do remember it was sometimes they did Las Vegas, and some years I guess they did LA. But I think maybe for a while now it's been LA. But I don't think they go to Orlando or New York. But it's been strictly West Coast.
Yeah, because we've been to the Star Wars ones, and they keep switching back and forth between the coast. And I know San Diego Comic-Con, they were talking about for the longest time going to Vegas because they have more space there than any other place.
Oh yeah, have you guys ever been there?
Oh yeah, I've been. I owned an electronics store for like 15 years, and so we went to CES for the first 5 or 6 of those years.
Oh, nice.
And it was, talk about insanity. Your eyes are like rolling the back of your head.
That is what we call the big show. The big show.
Yeah, that was. Something else. I remember coming home and going, oh my God, I saw a 3D TV, and people are looking at me like, you're fucking retarded. And then sure enough, like 5 years later, it pops up. It took a long time.
Yeah.
But then it popped up. And that's the thing is like you go to CES to see things, and you're like, oh my god, that's amazing, but you might not ever see it, or it takes forever to come out. Yeah, but E3 is like, here's a game, and it might take a year or 2 years tops, you know.
Unless you're Blizzard.
Unless you're, yeah. Or, you know, Duke Nukem Forever, which literally took forever.
That was a great game, man.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, this is cool. I mean, it's exciting to talk to somebody that's actually been there. I mean, I've been wanting to go there for years, but you know, it's never been.
Now it's never going to happen.
It's never been a true priority. I mean, I went to Comic-Con for many years. I went to WonderCon for many years when it was in San Francisco. Now it's in Los Angeles now, in Anaheim Convention Center. And so, yeah, I don't know. We're patiently waiting for Star Wars to come back to the West Coast so we can go back to that one last time.
I cosplayed once for, cosplayed Star Wars.
Oh, what'd you dress up as?
Oh gosh, you don't want to know.
Was it Princess Leia?
No.
Jabba.
No, well, my girlfriend did. She did Darth Vader, and I did Anakin Skywalker. It was just.
Oh.
It was.
Oh, sexy Vader.
Yeah.
Nice. She's like, "Who's your daddy?"
Exactly. Had me on a chain.
Well, awesome, man. John, thank you very much for
Thank you guys for having me.
giving us some scoops.
Yeah, maybe you can
fun.
be our official electronics correspondent here at Chew on This.
Yeah.
We tried to get you for CES this year, but it was too late. So
Yeah,
we're glad
CES is
we
a
got you onto
tougher
E3.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, January's coming up.
Oh, I'll be here soon
few
enough.
months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be awesome. Well,
All right,
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
John,
much.
plug your stuff again.
Yes, go ahead.
You could catch me at Android Authority. Twitter handle is John_C_Velasco. Same thing for Instagram. And you could check me out on VR Source for all the VR stuff I do. What else? I'm on all the social networks, Google Plus even. So if you're on there, check me out. That's about it.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add, Vic?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John, again. That was episode 86 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic,
Until next time, folks, chew on that.
later.